Germany, they're very right wing.
And that was the only thing I could find out, that they like AfD reached in some regions like 10%, and that's
overall. I think that's overall Germany now. AfD has now 10% from 5 to 10.
Okay. And this,
concerning Pegida, we are for people who listen, maybe we can share our impressions. So at the beginning there were only some hundreds, and then the movement grew a lot. And now I think there were at least 15,000 people, up to 20,000 that is possible on the biggest demonstration. And then some weeks ago there was the birthday of Pegida. They moved 1 year after. Last year they started, this year was like the birthday. And again there were 15,000 I think. So not maybe not 20,000, but a lot of people. And so the mood in Dresden is very political. So everybody takes a position, and there are a lot of people on the side of Pegida that say from themselves that they are not racist. They are, and it's a little bit difficult to understand it. But now I had also some personal contact to people that grew up in Eastern Germany, and they have a really different background. So they don't like Nazis and racists. So some people do, but I talk of the citizens. They don't feel like they are racist, but they don't want to accept foreigners in their country. They're not used to it, or in their region. And of course, but because of this movement, there's also growing the other movement, and a lot of people fighting for refugees. So I feel like sometimes there are quite some tensions in the city. And what we also have to say that there were a lot of acts against refugees. So some people got attacked on the streets. Also some friends of mine who are very German, they just had some posters where there was written "refugees welcome," and they got hit by other people on the street. So they're really emotional situation.
like Mario says, emotional. Okay, last comment from Philip on Germany, and then we move on.
Yes, to put it in a little more perspective, there was a recent poll. The question of how you pro or against refugees, there were 4 answers. Pro, completely pro, mostly against, totally against. And the thing is that this is obviously like a monthly poll, and it shifted from 18% completely pro to 14%. And this comment actually about politics, so you can see this shift very, very clearly in the change of politics right now, as even Angela Merkel is really changing her position a lot on the refugees. So,
Google that. Take over or research it, talk to people, to professors and stuff, take ownership of this. But now we have this insight that there is all of this. Just a very short technical comment. We have live streaming now. Does anyone feel uncomfortable with this? It's okay to speak up.
Should we get undressed?
It's okay.
Where is this being broadcasted?
We posted the link on the Netcom Facebook page, so there's basically people can watch it word for word if they find it. But there is over the day there were like maybe 2 or 3 people tuning in every now and then. And I knew all of these people, so like one is a participant, Woods got sick and she's watching, and that is on Netcom. So, but hey, we have viewers. We can wait. There are people viewers. Okay, then I would give Philip again the word for highlights and Belgium. Keep it short.
Yes, it's very short. It's only like I don't follow the politics there a lot, but what I have news feeds there, like from news sites, and what I read in the comments is not like in Germany, like I'm not a Nazi but it's basically saying when the boat with refugees sank, the comments were all like, that's 700 people less that we have to pay for. And they were cheering like 700 people less we have to pay for, and really makes me puke when I read these things. And they even like, there's kind of TV shows that go to the people at home, like they see their name, and they go to them at home and they interview them, like, is this really what you mean? And some are like, yeah, I mean, they come here and they get a house, they get a car, they don't have to work, they get everything, they spread wrong information, they get like 800 euros a week, and they're like, but you live in a house, you have a car, you have a job, what's your problem? Yeah, but own people first and whatever, and then they take like, say like, we should take care of homeless people, our own people, and it's really, they call them dicks, like, it's okay if the pigs come, but don't come to Belgium. And it's absolutely disgusting.
Alright, thank you. One
I just
comment?
didn't understand, can I just
Comment?
comment?
Yeah, comment.
Several people last night clicked have been in Germany. I didn't get the beginning of the sentence.
No, there wasn't this boat that sank.
Ah, okay.
And,
So, one comment?
Well, I'm informed. The problem in Belgium is that in the suburbs of Brussels, for example, there are a lot of Muslim communities. And within those Muslim communities, there is a lot of unrest. And that is a big issue for Belgium since years. It's not the refugee crisis that started that, but I already read about that, I think, 4 years ago. So in Belgium, and that's why those terrorists of they were looking for the terrorists of Paris attacks in Belgium, because a lot of Belgian Muslims go to a lot of the suburbs mainly. They go to the IS. So in Belgium, there's a huge integration problem.
Okay. Only one direct comment and then we move on to the next country.
yeah, I wanted to add that in Germany you're being called a Gutmensch when you say anything pro, and in Netherlands and Belgium I'm usually being called a Brussels as they were whenever I say something pro.
But movement is also not meant in a positive way.
No,
Yeah, it's not meant in a positive way. Who speaks? Who would like to go next? You? Okay, so as a written.
Would you mind follow that?
Yes.
Yeah, you know where it is. Yeah, I know, it's good.
Yeah.
Ah, there's several.
Oh,
yeah, that makes sense. Oh.
No, I didn't plan. So, you see from the you might come to that. Alright. So you said it's kind of line. Yeah, here we are, but we do have currently more than 1 million refugees. It's just a short story about what we have been suffering since 1998. We have 1 million refugees. You can check it. I can give it the exact numbers, which they are 250,000 Azerbaijanis internationals were deported and ethnically cleansed, and 750,000 people became internally displaced in our own country. And now, I actually forgot to add there that I'm not going to talk about only Azerbaijan, also Turkey is related, because we are not getting the immigrants just directly from Syria to Azerbaijan. They come to this territory, which are mostly called Urfa, Diyarbakir, the Turkish territories. So they come there. I don't know the exact amount of numbers that how many people from Syria they came there, but they come from Turkey, so Turkey to Azerbaijan. And now, what can I say that as a government? Two statements. First, what our government implements on it, and secondly, what the people, whether people against on it or whether people accept it. Firstly, Azerbaijan, on the legal paper, it is a Muslim country, but it is indeed not, because we don't have a Sharia law, we don't have such kind of Islamic, the groups. We have Jewish people, we have Christian people, we have all the nations and all part of it we have, and they live in a good condition. And since my childhood, I've never in my life seen that any group discriminating the other people because of their religious view. Never seen it. And that's why we do support, because there are Muslim people are more in Azerbaijan rather than the Christians and Jewish and the others. Therefore, they do accept the Syrians. Currently, we have Syrians, but I don't know the exact amount of people. And the other statement I want to make it, which is the fact. Before coming here, I went to the 2 days conference in the case of refugee crisis in Europe. It was held in Poland. So there were many aggressive statements made there, but I also checked some. I also did some researches. Maybe you know or you don't know. There was a G20 summit recently held in Turkey. Great 20s. So in there, Russian president said that there are states in this summit who supports and has a financial assistance to the ISIS or ISIL, and those states are in here, and it's actually something takes the people just to go to the deep end to look at the facts. What are the facts? What exactly stays behind of those non-state actors? What we call in the law, it's a non-state actors, and just thing to try to find it. Therefore, it is a big problem for us. However, Azerbaijan government also accepting the refugees. However, we have around 9-10 million people, but we do accept them even now. And that's all from me. Yeah, any questions? Yeah, sure.
Yeah. What's the public opinion?
Public opinion. As I said it before, there is no discrimination. There is no any protesting. Nothing happened since this problem started. Nothing. Yeah. Because people mainly support, most people in Azerbaijan as they are Muslim, and they do support, of course, just taking as much as we can Syrian refugees. Doesn't matter, Syrian, they have that as well.
So first year and then Nico?
Do you probably know how they organize the housing of the refugees or something like this? Does it work out? Like in Germany, it has caused some kind of chaos and overcrowded refugee homes. Does it work out?
As far as I know, it doesn't just is any problematic. There's been no problem on it, and if it has been, I will know it goes. And still my researchers, I haven't seen any problem the government is having on the case of refugees. So we just accept as
How does the refugee crisis affect the economic situation?
Yeah, currently the economy is sharply increased. You may check the United Nations Development Program, which is stated the rate of poverty. Yeah, poverty in Azerbaijan. It is, I don't know how much. It was 7.5 or 9.5%. In the reality, it is not like that. Trust me, of course. And the thing is, as we have information from the government officials that it does not affect our economy, so we can support them as much as we can. Yeah.
Sorry, we're going to move on because hours. Thank you very much for this. Okay.
Alright, so,
Do you need enough? Otherwise, we'll put this in.
no. Where's Quickly? Alright, just to preface, one of the promises of our current government at this moment in time is a referendum on an in-out of the EU in 2017. This is one of the big promises made for the Conservative Party led by David Cameron to win the election. So this, okay, so just to preface, there's an in-house election in next 2 years from now. And this is putting a lot of pressure on the Conservative Party with the Syrian migrants and migration into the UK as a whole at the moment. So what David Cameron has said is that we will be taking 20,000 refugees over the next 5 years. Yeah, I know. Yeah, any undocumented migrants that make it to Calais, into the Channel Tunnel, they are deported back to Calais, and then they're placed into the deportation camp. No, camp at Calais, and at the moment it is roughly about the government itself is looking at helping its stance on immigration to the UK because in the UK itself we're having a housing crisis at the moment. There's a lot of people on the backlog for council housing, and there's a lot of ungrowing unsettlement with refugees coming in and taking housing that people have been on the list for a while. Okay, at the end of 2014, this is according to Amnesty International, 170,661 refugees were taken in. 36,383 pending asylum cases were taken in. That is all I have.
1, 2, 3, and then that's it. Philip goes first, then Nadia on here. Philip is in the back. Okay, Nadia?
I want to ask if you feel something like there is lodging for refugees or houses in the streets. Do you, is it like in Dresden, you know that there are some places where there are tents built up and gyms used. If you don't have so many refugees, do you recognize it?
What do you mean by in this? You rephrase the question.
Yeah, okay. Do you, in your daily life, do you recognize that there are many refugees coming? Was there changing in the last year? Because in our city, some gyms were also closed, and we know that there were tents built up for refugees, and you can see that there's something happening in the street. How is it in the UK?
Well, in the UK at the moment, because we're an island, we haven't. All the refugees are heading to Germany and then France, and then the rest have tried to make it through. They normally put into housing within the first few months of their stay. There aren't many staying in the street. Young males who go ahead of their families, and I normally see it passing to Canterbury. You've seen.
Yeah. Sometimes in Canterbury we have like a few people there is with tents. Sometimes, but again, they are constantly moving, police is looking for them. And for example, 1 month ago, my wallet was stolen in the center of Canterbury, and it's happened. It just happened that one of the person who stole it was a Syrian refugee. It was illegal. So
But I mean, tents that are built by the government.
no, I'm not like defending.
No. There are no tents in the UK.
I'm stating the fact it happened, yeah. And the thing is, like, it's again, I think it's a problem of the British government that they don't accept more people to legally register them. This wouldn't happen then. I'm not like against refugees, okay?
Okay, thank you. Philip, is your phone ready?
So, on this article about stupid things politicians said.
Okay, no.
Keep it short, please.
It says British Prime Minister David Cameron has been forced to soften his approach, but that hasn't stopped members of his Conservative Party for having their say. Quote, we have people in this country who have come here, have claimed asylum, and then they go back on holiday in the place they claimed asylum from. I couldn't have my hair cut the other day for that reason.
Who said that?
Alan Holloway,
Which position is it?
he's a member of the parliament, but I'm wondering if people often, do you hear this a lot in news, or or is this more like the black sheep?
This is what these are. Well, Conservative Party as a whole. Okay, preface. This is a bit of my personal opinion, a bit of fact. So take it as you will. The Conservative Party as a whole, they're leaning towards the higher earning tax bracket. So generally, their comments about those who are underneath the tax bracket are generally inflammatory. And another bit you might have heard, there's a big kerfuffle going on about tax credits in the UK. Those who are earning under a certain amount are going to get their benefits capped, and the benefits is like the welfare system we have. So those earning under a certain amount can lose up to £1,000 every year, and this is the difference between putting fuel in the car, food on the table, so to speak.
Okay, I'm not sure about it, but in Ukrainian news, I've heard that Ukraine government would like to close the borders and would like to register to check all the refugees coming. And also I've heard that after the events have been found, the UK government would like to check every refugee and even like send some planes to Syria or to Afghanistan to there and not to let everyone.
Yeah, talking about sending more military planes, our Prime Minister at the moment, he said he isn't going to be calling a vote for more British military involvement until he's got a majority in the Congress. So at the moment, he's trying to lobby support for that motion so that when it does go through, it goes through unanimously or under vote. As for closing the borders, this has been growing sentiment from a few parties, UKIP and a few far right ones, I can't remember. But they're saying that we need to be tough on our borders, immigration is hard, British people aren't getting jobs. So, the normal nationalistic sentiment in every country.
Okay, thank you. Then, next one, I think I could just Scotland because, yeah, go ahead, Scotland. I'm going to keep it short, I'm kind of go long. The SNP leader, which is the Scottish National Party, Nicola Sturgeon, she has mentioned several times that she wishes to help refugees, and she strongly criticizes David Cameron for how reluctant he was to host the refugees, and she still criticizes him for taking in a small number of refugees. However, I find it kind of a paradox to what's actually going to happen in Scotland, in Aberdeen, where I live, because in January we're taking in, I don't remember the exact number, but we're taking in 15 to 20 refugees, and that's all we're taking. Aberdeen is taking in 2015, 15 to 20 refugees.
How big is Aberdeen?
Aberdeen. It's not a huge city, but it's a city, and it's a city built on oil. So it is a city that has money. So I find it a bit of a paradox when she criticizes it so much, and then she's not really helping. Anyways, like you already said, views on among the citizens, they vary a lot. Like there's a growing sentiment of hatred against refugees, but there's also a strong feeling of helping. Especially, I can tell you about, especially for my uni, we have a lot of campaigns going on, and yeah. I'm not going to go on because then I'll talk about the rest of the UK. Okay, I did a pretty good job. Alright, thank you very much. Okay, next country. Chris?
Okay, yes.
You raised your hand. Go on.
I would like to say, I will speak from here.
Yes, but speak up.
I would like to state mainly two points. Like in Scotland, there is a mixed reaction towards this matter. Due to the turmoil that is happening now in Greece and the financial and social problems that exist, there is a tendency for the extreme right party to popularity in Greece, Chrysiaki. So there is a mixed reaction. However, the majority of the Greeks at the same time, because we are have to get more sensitive on this matter. We want to help and receive and try to do the best on that. So there's a variety of reaction, but the majority is we want to the best. Because as people as a country, we are facing difficulties, and we can understand. I mean, the difficulties that they are facing. However, I mean, due to the difficult situation, it's not. I mean, unfortunately, it's not so easy for us to achieve that. I mean, I'm not sure if we can do it. In the past, when our Minister of Foreign Affairs had opened the borders, and people were coming from other countries, we could accept, and they could be easily integrated and find jobs and have a better life. But I'm not sure that at the moment this is achievable. But okay, maybe we try the main spot that the British are gathering in islands, and we can every day, as you said, during the summer, on the news, we're hearing about people who are trying to, in their own, in their own action, to help them. I mean, they were receiving them at their houses. Some of the municipalities of the islands try to receive them in stadiums and parks. But okay, it's not a part of a more overall plan. At this point, I should also state that the government should take some, more effective measures for this matter. We're not satisfied with the way our government acts. Which makes more organized action, like make a more straightforward policy. And one other thing that deteriorates the situation is that due to the fact that many refugees are coming from the sea, they're moving to the Aegean Sea. It's not easy in order for this phenomenon to control. And due to the fact that there are some people who take advantage of the refugees, and they ask money from them in order to transport them to islands or Greece, and they really take advantage of them. They play with their lives. Or we have heard. I don't know if you have observed some deaths in the beaches of some kids. Of course, we have heard. Yes.
Don't try to go to the Greece that situation.
Yes, it's really very sad. It's really very sad, and for all our countries, something we don't want to happen. But it's not easily controllable because when they're traveling at the sea, there's no so many things.
Good.
Yes.
Just one comment. It's just, I found it very interesting how this whole crisis developed. So it started, we started having a huge thing on the Greece economic situation. Then it shifted to all those refugees on the islands right before Greece. Then it shifted to people on the Balkan route, and now it shifted to refugees in the different countries. So it's just something that I found very interesting how that all developed. Yeah.
Maybe it could be, a more general European policy, which has, a starting point from Greece, not just starting point. It should include also, the Greece could be also be a part of a more overall European, plan.
This is a good question. You touched upon a good thing that when they arrive into the cities and on the bank, there are a group of organ loading those people from the boat and taking them. How many of them are closely and taking their bodies, which makes a good profit for them.
And in Greek, yes, okay. probably, like, I mean, everywhere, I mean, unfortunately.
I mean, the same happened in Nepal, for instance.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's
Unfortunately, I mean, as a species, we tend to take advantage when the situation is bad and there's a lot of, turmoil. There's a lot of, some people, not some people, then.
Okay, it's good that you raise these points, like, we have, like, all that written down, but let's just be aware of all of this, and we're going to make it super short, so that all over wake up, okay? So, stand up for that. Because it's a lot of information we're taking in today. Can you start? Again,
But gradually, first it should go like
Which way, left or right?
this way. Gradually, okay?
Okay, everybody, fresh again? Yes. Yes.
You opened the window 20 minutes.
No. Okay. Okay. Then okay, we just said Greece. So start the other one started with short. Also, Italy. Okay.
Okay. I analyzed how many money we spent to make this save the properties in the Mediterranean, and we spent 9 million euro. And this money is a lot, but in reality are not so lot, because the statistic have calculated that a person that come into the Europe and work for €3.5 give back to the state by taxes all the money that the Europe spend to save from the boat. Another things, another data is that in the 2013, the Syrian people that want to come to Italy and to Europe by Mediterranean grew up of 26%. And a lot of these people that try to arrive by to Italy and Europe don't want to be identified, so they don't give his profile and his name and other things. This is because they want to go in other nation. So this is all.
Dublin agreement, yeah.
One comment, 2 comments, 3 comments, 4. Sorry, all of you for short.
No, I mean, I was just saying that the Dublin agreement, I mean, it's just when the refugee have to stay in the country in order to arrive, so that's the big problem. And actually now, I don't think that a lot of people, a lot of refugees want to stay in Italy, so that's why they don't want to give identification and stuff like that.
Problem works in a camp that holds most refugees from Libya and Nigeria. And something that is really not talked about enough is that the actual numbers are very huge, especially from Libya and Nigeria, and it seems like they do not exist. And there is a lot of issues. In Italy, we have so many numbers, and the proper offices are so underfunded that the minimum waiting time for asylum response is more than a year. The minimum is 1.5 years, in which you can do nothing but stay in a camp with people from your same nation and try to study Italian without almost any contact with Italians. And you need to do everything on your own. And they come from such a different culture that it is very hard. Integration is very complex, and a topic that is often used on the media from politicians to talk negatively about this is that they say that refugees get 31 euros a day. But this is a false presentation of the topic, because this is the money that the camps get for handling refugees or asylum seekers. And this money is definitely not enough to care for them properly, and very few camps who invest the money to care for them, and a lot of them just take the refugees, don't guarantee anything, and keep as much money as they can.
Okay.
Creating a bigger issue because the refugees don't get food, don't get any Italian language lessons, and they get forced not to get out of the place.
Okay.
So they're building a machine, like building a huge crowds of. It's a relevant topic because nobody talked about it, and I just wanted to spend a few minutes to make it clear.
No, it's okay. All right, what was I saying? Maike, very short?
Yeah, just again, I find it interesting how the last years Lampedusa has been the word for the refugee crisis, and it didn't really involve Syrians at all, because I mean, Italy is not the first place for Syrians to come to Europe. I guess it's just, it would be like this. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So it's again, and we had, I think in springtime, we had this waves in front in Berlin. You know, it was still a totally different crisis. That's what I very interesting.
I wrote some short comments on how appalling I found, like, the way that Italy initially dealt with the first refugees that came from Africa. So basically, it did a deal with Libya, in which Libya would rescue the refugees that were attempting to get into Italy, and the refugees that Libya rescued would go to refugee camps, which a lot of times ended up being almost like concentration camps. And I found it ridiculous how the EU let that happen and allowed that to happen as if it was okay.
Okay. All right. Nope. No comments. No comments on this. You have your opinion afterwards. A lot of alcohol. You can continue that. I don't want people to fight. I'm very impressed how very constructive this is. So we had Italy. Okay, very short about Slovakia. I guess you already heard about our famous prime minister, first person ever, who is very much against quota and refugees in Slovakia, even though every single Slovak citizen knows that refugees don't want to stay there. And they are just passing through Slovakia to Austria, Germany, or any other country. And right now, after terrorist attacks, you wanna actually check every single foreign Muslim living in Slovakia to prevent terrorist attacks in Slovakia before they happen. And on this, he is building a very strong political campaign to win elections. Because and it's very different how people perceive it in Bratislava and in other countries, in the other villages. And one last comment, what me personally is very making sad is that also amongst our members in Bratislava we have people like, see, terrorists, what happened there, it's just because we allow refugees to come here. And that's what me personally is. Yeah. Okay, there's one comment?
We need. When your Prime Minister says by checking every foreign Muslim living in the country, is that he trying to pass a spy bill like the one trying to happen in the UK at the moment?
Indeed, what?
For spy bill, so they monitor email communications.
I think it was just more as a statement than a real action. Alright, then I'm going to go because I'm not wanting to go to the end. Password. Oh. I just want, because I'm going to talk very shortly about Denmark and Sweden, and I would like to show that on the last. Huh? Yeah, I just want to show the representations because I'm going to use it. So Denmark is here and Sweden is here. And well, you see, it's very northern and very far away from all of this. But basically, a lot of refugees go through Denmark to get to Sweden. Why does it say in Denmark? Because Denmark is very harsh on refugees. While Sweden is known for taking a lot more, like I think they take the most refugees compared to population in Europe. And so Sweden has these 3 years residence permits that they give to refugees, and also they have, for instance, when families are coming, and a lot of refugees are going now to Sweden because they already have family there because Sweden took so many already. So Sweden allows them to come, this family. However, in Denmark, there is a case, if there's someone in Denmark and they took very few refugees, if someone wants to come with a family, a nearby family, we're talking about children underneath 18 and husband and wife, they are only allowed to come. So Denmark is giving a 1-year residence permit to these people they accept, and the family is only allowed to come if this 1-year residence permit is being renewed. So they were highly criticized for that. I don't really know about society. Well, so also in Denmark there were elections this year. We have a right government out there. We use, like, Denmark is very known for social democrats, but also the social democrats are putting on their posters. I unfortunately don't have the picture anymore, but I took it. They put on their posters literally the quote, "We are for stricter immigration policies." Social democrats. And now we have a right government, also very unusual for a Scandinavian country. And now that's what I wanted to say. Yeah, I know it's Denmark. I cannot really talk a lot about society's opinion because I live in this part here, which is the southern part and which is very right radical. So the right radicals actually in this part, they had the most votes in the elections. So, well, more or less, they're very much against refugees. But the police is very nice in letting them through. I shared many train rides with the refugees and they were always treated very nicely. Okay, that was Denmark and Sweden. Yes,
in Denmark toughen their laws even more on this weekend. I read my returns paper and I read in the news that they even try to make it even harder to get it.
Well, since I was really busy preparing that meeting, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I would Google up on it. I don't know that right now, but I mean, you also have to look on the other side. Denmark and Sweden, the Scandinavian countries, they have free language courses, for instance, for refugees. So, or also for foreigners. So I'm also taking for 3 years. I don't have to pay for language courses and all of this, and I get the books and everything for free. So they generally do have immigration. Yeah, so they generally do have like these immigration policies, but they're very strict. Like if you don't learn the language in a certain amount of time, you can be sure that you will not get a further residence permit. They make the residence permits dependent on your integration efforts. Okay, Denmark, our resistant country. Next one.
I can just say.
So
Hungary has been criticized for the refugee handling because it was in the summer they started building a fence, and it's a fence like a prison, so you can imagine made out of metal, and there are really attached to it, so some refugees look like pretty hurt because of that, and it was also a change in the law policy because now the violation of the fence, refugees can face imprisonment for 1 year to 3 years, which is kind of like a harsh reaction. And in the political public speeches, it's a lot of times stated that refugees are like an army because they are mostly like adult men. Also, the right-wing parties rise a lot. The human trafficking in the summer was like enormous business to do. And that's all I think. Alright, thank you very much. There's a question?
What's the administration's opinion on having this kind of outcomes that you like refugees and violating like
It's really controversial. It's a controversial topic in society. I think that mostly population disagrees with that.
Sure.
Yes, very short to make Hungary, while being criticized for very human purposes, yeah, true, it's not good, but if you take a look at the legal things, Hungary is actually following European laws, not international laws, but what they do is actually legal. So just to say that it's an actually legal problem where not just they're not going against any European law by that.
Thank you. So we're almost there. Hungary is now. We have Poland left. Sure.
So, yeah, of course, you have also.
Sorry, I skipped that yet. So sorry, because you were the one already go. Okay, Colin, go ahead.
Of course, we have a lot of crazy stuff, like our village is not the most for refugees. There's a lot of really crazy slogans being here on protests last weeks, like Holocaust for Islam, and really extreme stuff. But I don't want to go into detail that. I think you all pretty much know what you can expect. But the thing is that our current government who just took over is really anti-European Union, and they're really using anti-refugee in their campaign and in their public appearances. Like you could hear today about the idea of building, like making army out of refugees and sending them back, for example. And most refugees that our new minister not one but few times he really predicted so. Then of course Harris was used as an excuse for them for saying, oh now we cannot take even those people that we said before. But to be fair, previous government who was really pro-European Union, the party who Donald Tusk is from, it was no better because like when the discussion started, it was still the previous government. And they also, the first reaction was that they want to take only 800 people, only Christians. Then, like when they started criticizing that why only Christian, then they okay, 800, whatever, 800 to take. And they back up a little bit. They make the amount a bit smaller, but still not crazy big. But it was not pro refugees either. And yeah, maybe like I don't want to. Also, the government was always using the excuse that okay, we should have smaller amount because we're taking a lot of refugees from Ukraine, which is really not true. Because before the whole refugees crisis boom in Libya, I was personally on the meeting with Ukrainian seeking asylum people, and they said it was. I'm not sure what month is the Refugee Day, but it's like May or something like that. It was on that day, and they said that 2015 they gave there was like 200 applicants for refugee status in Poland from Ukraine, and only 5 got the status. So, but this is of course not in the media. In the media they said we have a lot of refugees from Ukraine, and they're using this as excuse all the time, and that's they think we should not take the Syrian refugees because we have Ukrainian ones. Also, yeah, like now I don't want to excuse why is that. I just want to give you a bit of the explanation why the feelings are so bad. First of all, I think we all can see that these post-Soviet countries had most aggressive and negative feeling, and I heard a lot of discussion of professionals saying about that it's kind of more understandable for those countries since they were so close in the past and they didn't go through the previous like times of refugees coming to Europe, and like Poland is the first time Poland is really homogeneous country now after the World War. It became really homogeneous. It's like really like only white Christians living there, almost like 99%, and it's like not even about refugees, but even like there is not really immigrants in Poland. So people are really afraid, and also because of our history that we're not independent for so many years before, and like just people are the first time in a really long time, you can't really treat communist time as independent either. So it's really like short time we finally are independent, and we're really crazy afraid of losing this independence. So current government is all the time saying that we are not independent now because Brussels is governing us. And also they're using that Germany is governing us. And like they criticize the previous government a lot. For example, that he was the on Merkel's service. And that's why it's also like they really criticize that we want to take we don't want to take refugees because Germany said as we have to, we will not listen to them. And last point is that like they really like I don't know how to put it in English, but like they just not like, there is no refugees still in Poland, mostly because they I'm pretty sure consciously they're not preparing for them. Like we have nothing ready. So obviously they are coming. Even though the numbers we declare that I'm not sure what they are on the end. Maybe I think 7,000. Yeah, 7,000. Like it's super small. even though 7,000 are not there, because nothing were. So obviously not gonna count if there is nothing, like no houses, nothing. Also, like I just saw a few weeks ago that this campaign for one of the main NGOs that take care of low help for refugees in Poland, and this is the first year in years that they didn't get government money for working. So this is like really just sabotaging the system from not.
Okay, thank you. And one more reason? One more short. One also, I think the problem was also disinformation, because in the media there was this confusion between refugees and economic migrants. So a lot of like this common understanding was that all these people that come, they are like healthy men who are coming, no women, no kids, mostly men who just want to work and find a better life. So there was also a lot of this about this majority is economic migrants, at least before Paris and all these things.
Sure. I have one question because in Dresden there are people demonstrating against the Islamization, and they are not really even religious themselves, but in Poland there are a lot of very religious people or religious Christians, and I want to ask if there's also this perception of Islamization.
Yeah, like I want to also stress, I forgot about it, that there's one like cultural fact that Polish patriotism, even like this, let's say positive patriotism, is strongly connected to Christianity. And even like, I'm not a religious person, but Polish patriotism is connected with Christian or like, for example, we think that the most patriotic thing is Christmas in Poland, like, because we look better than other countries, like people think that way, and the patriotism is really connected with Christianity, so it's really interconnected with that, even if you're not a religious person.
No, sorry.
Yeah, just a go for a question. I live in Wrocław, and I see almost every single day after 5-6 o'clock, every single day protesting and against the anti-Islamic and Islamic protests. So what I wonder is when I ask to the police that it's clearly discrimination and derogation of the culture, which is prohibited under European Convention on Human Rights. So I even state the articles clearly, and they say that no, it's a freedom of expression. And is there anything in Poland, I don't know, but is there anything in Poland like when such kind of things happening, you feel that it's a clearly discrimination, like even the police doesn't care about it, so can you report it there?
Of course, you report it, but the thing is, I believe that people are just so ready for it to never had this kind of discussions and problems, because, as I told you, we have like really communist country, and people are just really lost, like police and first, I think it's like they still didn't get really accommodated with the situation because they never really had to fight this kind of situation. But also, like the current government really doesn't help the situation, and also what I said is really important that we have a lot of miscommunication, and there was also those kind of like rape articles, and like they have iPhones articles, they come for economic evidence, huge thing.
Sorry, I want to recommend that Sultan first. Go ahead.
I just want to ask about religion, and that I know people who are not really religious, but they still like use the excuse of Islamization. So it's not really just like, oh, we're scared for our religion. It's more like we just look for excuse and religious excuses like people.
Thank you. All right. We're almost there. Latvia, and do you want to record it up?
Oh, yeah.
If you have something to say about it. Okay.
I'll make it really, really short because I'm not currently living there, so I just want to inform you a little bit to have something to compare with maybe. But our government and majority of our citizens are against opening our borders. We're not currently taking in refugees, and our foreign minister means that our flexibility is very limited, and our position now is the most NATO one. However, we have agreed in October 2015 to at least 531 refugees over 2 years, and 245 will be decided within a year. And society is mostly against this because they are promised 256 euros per month per refugee, and our lowest salary candidate is 26.
Okay. Good. Then last country for you.
Portugal, the Portuguese government offered to host a couple thousand refugees, which is a relatively small number, and I'm not particularly proud of that. But the government does believe in helping the refugees. They're not reluctant at all. They've got the support of the Portuguese Red Cross as well. The only problem with accepting refugees in Portugal is actually citizens. There was a very divided opinions. There was actually a petition with tens of thousands of people asking for the Portuguese government not to accept the refugees, and giving some justifications as that it will harm tourism. Yeah, exactly.
Alright.
Someone actually said that on national television.
Alright, thank you. Okay, we are going to, so first of all, I think an applause for this, because that was very good. Thank you all for respecting. Sorry, like, hello. People who have like very good things and so please bring them forward in discussions. We're going to have now. We're going to make 4 statements now, and we're not going to debate on them, but I just put like people who agree with the statements stand up. People who like sort of don't really know, you can like go like this, and people who disagree, they just stay put. Okay?
Oh, let's see.
So, first statement, Europe should introduce refugees quota for countries. If you agree, you stand up.
Again, please?
Europe should introduce refugees quota for countries. Okay, you want to sit down again? Next statement. The ones who agree, stand up. I feel less safe because of the refugee crisis.
General.
The refugee crisis. I feel less safe. No, I say that please, variety of interpretations. I feel less safe because of the refugee crisis.
It means that you feel less safe because now there is a refugee crisis. So any consequences of the crisis?
Probably feel because of the white race rising.
Yes. Okay, sit down again. Third statement. I am affected by the refugees. I am affected by the refugees. Can be positive. By the refugees themselves, by the people to refugees. It can be positive. Can be positive, can be negative.
Yeah.
We don't know that. That's a video of not discussing. Okay, sit down again. Last one, listen up. The culture of my community is affected by the refugees. The culture of my community is affected by the refugees. Of your community, I mean, this also.
Germany community. The statement, just to be clear. Just to be clear, is the statement about refugees or about refugees? Basically, it's about refugees, right?
I'm saying, now I'm saying by the refugees.
Yes.
That means it's positive or negative, it just means that it's affected.
Yeah, exactly. We cannot discuss it. Right. We can discuss it, but then we will never end. Okay, so what we're going to do now is the last part, because we're actually not that late. As a last part, we are going to go into small groups and discuss the role of IG and what IG can do. So concrete ideas and stuff. What is that a technical question or? But I do not want us to present what your groups have as ideas today anymore. We're going to do this tomorrow morning. Is that okay? So that will be a 15-minute thing now. Philip, what's your question?
No, 15 minutes ago, someone posted in the migration group that good news, if you apply for an Erasmus Plus grant, you will have more chances of being approved since it's been decided that the selection of Erasmus Plus projects for 2016 will put its focus on the refugee crisis and the current European problems among other fields. So if you want to do something, you might also apply for a grant.
Right. Thank you for that information. So I'm going to ask groups of 4, and always the 4 people who are sitting there. You're going to get to that. Make sure that you note down your ideas on the papers, and don't lose them until tomorrow, so you can then present it shortly. Okay? Or do you sit like
Don't rely on your memory.
So we have, guys,
Everyone.
we will do this for 15 minutes, and then Clemens, 6,
50?
or 15. 1-5. So we will around, like 5 to 9, you can end. I will then let you go. Okay, and then we'll give you the information about European Night. Okay, go ahead. Discuss. Okay, we also need the 5. What can I So I think it's about information checks, for example, I can say that I got this very interesting newspaper article, which actually says if they could calculate the economic and it also says other economic Load your live stream. We continue tomorrow at 5. See you there.